Today, after this disaster season, I want to tell you the good days are coming.
Yeah, that didn't go as planned. For a while now, Manchester United as a club has been drifting. They went from not having a managerial change for more than 2 decades to 9 in the past decade. The most recent managerial change involves Michael Carrick, one of their former players. He started his tenure well, but is not his first rodeo as the club manager. And let's be honest, his last one was pretty good. Michael Carrick's career has always been about the quiet mastery of space and time. He was never the loudest voice on the pitch, never the headline-grabbing protagonist. Instead, he operated in the margins where the matches are won, between the lines. To tell Carrick's story is to understand football not as a spectacle alone, but as control. Carrick came through the youth system at West Ham United, a club that prizes technique as much as tenacity. Even as a teenager, he looked different. He wasn't quick over 10 yards, nor was he a natural ball winner in the Roy Keane mold. What he had was vision, balance, and an intuitive understanding of tempo. He made his West Ham debut in 1999, still raw, still learning how to impose himself on senior football. The early 2000s were turbulent years for the club. Relegation battles, financial strain, and managerial churn, but Carrick steadily grew into the side. His move to Tottenham Hotspur in 2004 was less glamorous than it later appeared. Spurs were a club searching for identity, oscillating between promise and frustration. Carrick arrived without fanfare, but quickly became indispensable. He played primarily at the base of midfield, tasked with linking defense and attack, shielding the ball line and initiating build-up play. Under managers like Jacques Santini and Martin Jol, he refined his positional discipline. He learned when to sit, when to step forward, and when to let the ball do the running. It was at Spurs that Carrick's reputation began to shift nationally. Pundits started to notice that when he didn't play, the team lost coherence. He wasn't flashy, but he was fundamental. In the 2005-2006 season, as Spurs pushed for Champions League qualification, he was arguably their most consistent performer. Bigger clubs took note, and in 2006, Sir Alex Ferguson brought Carrick to Manchester United. The transfer was met with skepticism in some quarters. He wasn't a box-to-box dynamo, nor a classic destroyer. But Ferguson saw something else: intelligence, reliability, and the ability to play under pressure. What followed was a decade of sustained excellence. Carrick became the quiet constant in one of the most successful periods in English football. 5 Premier League titles, an FA Cup, a League Cup, the Champions League in 2008, and the Club World Cup followed. He retired in 2018, having made over 460 appearances for United. By then, his influence was universally acknowledged. Carrick moved seamlessly into coaching, joining Manchester United staff immediately after retirement. He worked under Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, contributing to training ground structure and match preparation. And in November 2021, during a period of upheaval at United, he was appointed caretaker manager. In 3 matches, he oversaw a win against Villarreal, a draw at Chelsea, and a victory over Arsenal. The performances were controlled, disciplined, and notably calm. True to character, he stepped aside once Ralph Rangnick arrived. Carrick took his first full managerial role at Middlesbrough in October 2022. The club was struggling, near the bottom of the championship. He implemented a possession-based approach, building from the back, encouraging midfield rotations, and trusting players on the ball. Middlesbrough surged up the table, playing some of the division's most cohesive football. They finished 4th and reached the playoffs, a remarkable turnaround. The following season proved harder. Expectations rose, opposition adapted, and injuries disrupted continuity. Middlesbrough's form dipped, and despite spells of attractive play, results were inconsistent. In June 2024, Carrick and the club parted ways by mutual consent. His tactical principles are best understood as an extension of his playing identity: positional discipline, controlled possession, and an insistence on clarity in structure. As a coach, he has not attempted to reinvent football or chase trends. Instead, he has focused on optimizing space, angles, and decision-making, particularly in the build-up phase and central zones. His managerial work at Middlesbrough provides the clearest dataset for analyzing how those ideas translate from theory into practice. His preferred base shape at Middlesbrough was a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, depending on personnel availability. Regardless of nominal formations, the build-up principles were consistent. The centre-backs split wide, the full-backs pushed high, and one pivot, often Johnny Howson or Hayden Hackney, dropped into the first line to create a temporary back three. This structure served two purposes: First, it facilitated clean progression from goalkeeper to midfield, reducing reliance on long balls. Second, it created what coaches term as rest defense, a stable platform behind the ball that allowed attacking players to take risks without leaving the team exposed to counters. I kept the 4-2-3-1 approach when recreating the tactic in FM26, and I tried to base it on the average positions the players had in the Manchester derby, coupling it with the English manager's tactical emphasis when managing Middlesbrough. The goalkeeper is a ball-playing one, as we need to make sure that he helps the team out when they are being pressed and in possession. The fullback roles were chosen based on the player profile available currently in Manchester United, a fullback on the right side and a wingback on the left one. The centre-backs are ball-playing ones, facilitating the possession game, bypassing the opposition's press, and linking up play with the midfielders. In the midfield, I went with 2 defensive midfielders, but you can go with 1 defensive midfielder and a central one, or 2 central ones based on your squad. In my recreation, one is a defensive midfielder role and the other is a box-to-box. The box-to-box one is expected to go up the pitch when the team is in possession, to link up play further up the pitch. The winger roles follow the same approach as the fullbacks and are based on the player roles available. On the right side, there is a wide forward that is expected to try and receive the ball and attack space like a wide striker. On the left side, the player is expected to play in the half space, drifting inwards. The role is a playmaking one, trying to pick his teammates in attack. The attack midfielder is a second striker, and the striker is a complete forward. The idea is trying to attack with 2 strikers, pushing the opposition's defense, creating space for the players that push up late. I chose the fluid counter-attack template and a cautious mentality, given the current squad Manchester United has. I will leave here the out-of-possession roles. The idea is to get back into a 4-2-3-1 shape, possibly even a 4-2-2-2, to help more with the counter-attacks. I left the player instructions as they are given in the game. Here we have the in possession and the out of possession team instructions. In possession, I tried to replicate Michael Carrick's principles as much as possible, but within the limits of what the match engine can do. Out of possession, the instructions are meant to help soaking up opposition pressure, doing everything possible to recover the ball and play on counter, but in a gradual way. I simulated only 1 season, and in this season, the team finished 5th in the league, very close to being 4th in the league. It's 1 season, so take this with a pinch of salt, but it creates a good base on which you can build in your save. Domestically, they didn't fare too well in the FA Cup and were knocked out early in the Carabao Cup as well. I always like seeing young managers, especially former players, take over managerial roles. My only problem in the Manchester United scenario is that the club does not seem to be managed very well, from outside, but I'm no expert. What I hope is that Michael Carrick is given the time he needs to steady the ship and that good results will follow.